Okay, recently I got funded with $300,000 by partnering with Apex Trader Funding and passing their evaluations. Let's talk about it. Okay, I was introduced to the world of online funding as a possible solution for new traders coming into this space. If you are trying to become a trader, the number one issue that you're going to have is being undercapitalized. And so I went into the world of online funding as a possible solution for this major problem. Now, I started off with Apex Trader Funding, and in this video, I just want to talk about my experience with them and what I would see as pros and what I would see as cons and if I recommend them. Before I jump into pros and cons, let me tell you a little funny, not so funny story because it was just weird timing. When I started my first evaluation, I began and I was just a few days into it, minding my own business, trading the evaluation, and then a Friday rolled around. On this particular Friday, there was an issue with Rhythmic Data. Rhythmic is the data provider for Apex Funding, and the data went down. So I'm in a trade, I was short in a live position, and all of a sudden, the price started glitching around. Very weird that this happens. My internet was fine, the power was fine, but I wasn't getting real-time data. It was starting to skip around. So when that happened, I tried to get out of my position, but nothing was happening. I was short, I was trying to hit the long side. As I hit the long side, nothing was changing with my position. So I was starting to worry that something was going wrong, and I was still in a position. Through the next several minutes, it kept happening of me trying to get out of this position. I'm sitting there just cranking the long side, turning off my internet, turning it back on, hammering the long side, trying to get out of this position. And even on the Apex website, inside your dashboard, there's a spot where you can kill all your positions, flatten everything, kind of nuclear option if something goes really wrong. That wasn't even working, yeah? So after the dust all settled, what ended up happening was my positions were going through, I just wasn't seeing it. So I went from being in a small winning position to flipping the script and maxing out a losing position. As the trade continued to drop, I was long massively. So I blew out the evaluation. Now, this happened within my first several days of starting the evaluation, my first one ever. And I really walked away from this thinking, these funded trader programs kind of suck. Turns out this was a very unique thing, and it wasn't anything to do with the funded companies, it was something to do with Rhythmic. Now, Rhythmic is a data provider, and they're top notch. They are also extremely good. And it was just a one-off event that happened, and it was funny timing that it was the first, my first experience with these programs. So that ended up happening for my first evaluation. I ended up starting a new evaluation, getting funded, doing a different evaluation, getting funded twice. And still through this day, I have $250,000 accounts that I'm funded through with Apex for a total of $300,000. Now, what I want to focus on is talking about the pros and the cons of how I see Apex specifically, with the understanding there's a lot I would like to say about my experience with this and getting funded, staying funded, but I do want to save this for a different video. Today, right now, I just want to focus on what I thought about Apex and if or not, I would recommend it. Let me start off with the cons. What I would say for cons about the Apex experience is some of the rules that they have set up. I could understand where you would think that this would be a con. So for instance, they have in their rules for the evaluations a trailing drawdown, which means, let's say that you have $5,000 that you can lose. If you have $5,000 that you can lose and you make $2,000, you did not create for yourself a buffer. You now do not have $7,000 that you can lose. The original 5 plus the amount you've made. You still have 5,000 because as you make money, the drawdown trails behind you. So no matter what happens, you're never going to build yourself a cushion. You're always going to have the same amount that you can lose, yeah? With Apex, they also have that trailing drawdown based on your unrealized gains. So if you're in a position where you have $5,000 to lose and you enter a trade, let's say that trade goes in your favor $1,000, but you don't close it. It's unrealized profits. Then something happens and the whole trade flips around on you and you end up scratching it. No win, no loss, you scratched the trade. Apex does not now give you that same $5,000 that you have to lose because you didn't lose anything. Apex drawdown is going to climb up with your unrealized gains. So if you have $1,000 that you were up, even if you don't lock it in, you are now $1,000 closer to hitting your max drawdown. And in that exact scenario, you had $5,000, $1,000 up that you didn't secure. When the dust settles on that trade and you're flat and you scratched, you now only have $4,000 that you can lose. This is how the trailing drawdown works based on your unrealized gains. Something else that Apex does is they have an amount of time before you can withdraw your funds. So you go through the process, you get funded with them. Let's say the first week you're funded, you make $1,000. You cannot pull out that $1,000. You have to trade for a certain amount of days. These days are going to be based not on the calendar, but on the available trading sessions. There's only at max 5 trading days a week, sometimes less. And so because of this, the way it works out with Apex is you're going to have to trade for a month minimum before you're able to pull out any of the money that you earn. And when you do go to pull out your money, they have a max amount that you can withdraw to start. So for instance, let's say the first month that you're with Apex, you make $10,000, you cannot withdraw all 10,000 of those dollars, yeah? They have a maximum that you can withdraw for the first couple of months. And then you earn a spot in their firm where you can withdraw out as much as you want. Now, as far as potential cons with Apex, the way that they have some of their rules is the only thing that I could say would be an actual con. My experience going through this for the pro side of it was flawless. Everything from the startup to getting funded, even when I had to reset that account, to transitioning to live, all of this happened just exactly like you would want. It was effortless. I didn't have to call anybody. There was no troubleshooting. It was just follow the rules that they have, do the steps that they outline, and everything was flawless. And when we're talking about potential cons, I really want to stress this point because I hear a lot of people talking about some of the rules around these funded trader programs, even Apex, talking about the rules that they have aren't fair or that it makes it very difficult to pass or yada, 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 yada. And I would really encourage everybody with this thought. Don't let yourself get entitled, yeah? Because let me tell you something. Nobody should be giving you money to trade the markets. The fact that you can come into this, learn the skill of trading, and then get backed financially is amazing. And if you're not careful, you start feeling entitled, like somehow you and I, like we deserve something from people. And the world really pushes us on us, especially right now. Let me give you like an analogy. We live in a world where it's very popular to get things delivered, right? Instacart, Uber Eats, things like this. And this is my world. I don't even own a car. So I'm Ubering everywhere. I don't prepare or shop for food. All of these things get delivered. And I am constantly hearing people, and I think it's kind of a joke, the fees that you have to pay to get your food delivered, yeah? Well, people complain that there's a $5 fee or that the app wants you to tip the driver $13 or something. And my response to this is it should be expensive. We are dealing in a situation where somebody is preparing you food and then somebody else is delivering that food to you. You are sitting down and getting prepared food brought to you. I do this on the regular and it's an amazing thing that should not be available to me. This should be a luxury that is reserved for the rich and the famous. And we live in a world where we have options like this. And if you're not careful, you start complaining like somehow the fact that there's an extra fee involved, that you deserve to have this as a feature. It should be expensive. In all honesty, it should be something that I can't afford. And yet it's an option that's amazing. And if you're not careful, instead of enjoying the fact that we have these insane luxuries available to us, we start complaining about the fact that there's extra fees involved. The same thing with the rules with these funded trader programs. You are not entitled to the fact that you should be backed financially. And the fact that it is an option is incredible. There will be hoops to jump through. There will be some things that you have to stick to. But to look at these as even cons, I think is a very weird way to look at it. So to sum up, Apex Trader Funding, I had an amazing experience and I would highly recommend if you are thinking about starting your funding journey, Apex is an amazing place to start. If you are watching this video, at the time of my recording, we are coming up on Black Friday. And if you're thinking about starting with Apex, this is an amazing weekend to start. Apex Trader Funding is doing a Black Friday sale where they're taking 80% off their evaluations. It's absolutely mental. There'll be a link in the description if you want. You can take advantage of that. It's a beautiful time to get started. If you're watching this and we're past the Black Friday weekend, there'll still be a link in the description that you can use. And if you use the promo code CORBS50, you can get 50% off any evaluation when you want to start, which is still an amazing offer. Now, if you're thinking about getting funding, but you don't maybe know exactly where to start, or you're not exactly sure how this all works, Or maybe you've tried to get funded in the past and you can't seem to pass the evaluation. In my description as well, there'll be a link to the Funding Accelerator. This is a very specific program that I put together after going through and getting funded myself. I put together a very direct program that's designed not just to show you how to trade, but specifically how to navigate the world of online funding. We're launching it out this weekend, which is Black Friday, and we have a Black Friday sale for you to take advantage of if you're watching this before Cyber Monday. If you're watching this after, there'll still be a link in the description. It'll just be the normal price. If you need any help with that, everything I'll do is linked in the description.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching that video to the very end. Make sure you hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Now, if you're struggling with your trading and you want my help, use the link in the description to book a free consultation today.